Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday afternoon, March the 14th, 2021. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. I'd like to welcome everyone to the show today. This will be my weekly update that I will put on YouTube. We're going to look at methane for the week. We're going to look at sea ice in the Arctic and the Antarctic, and some earthquakes and Climate Reanalyzer. But I'm going to start out with, it's an article from Zero Hedge. I've got Clean View on, and it's about all the earthquakes that have been rocking Iceland in the last couple of weeks, and they're afraid that a volcano is going to go off there. So the title says 34,000 earthquakes rock Iceland in weeks as volcano threat elevated. The number of earthquakes is rapidly increasing since March the 4th, when we first told readers a volcanic eruption could be brewing in Iceland. According to Financial Times, in the last few weeks, more than 34,000 quakes have been recorded on the Reykjanes Peninsula as the country is on high alert for the next volcanic eruption. So it's on this little foot down here on the south end of Iceland. Never before have so many people in Iceland experienced so much seismic activity. This is Thorbjörg Augustsdóttir, a seismologist at the government-run Iceland Geosurvey. They're getting tired of being woken up and asked, when's it going to stop? I probably butchered his name and I apologize. Anyway, most of the quakes are around the southwest Reykjanes Peninsula, that includes Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland, home to 122,000 residents, the Keflavik International Airport, and critical infrastructure. And this is where the earthquakes have mainly been. Now, we've been watching them on USGS, and they had a couple more pretty good sized ones today. So we can see here that the tectonic plate line runs right through Iceland, and it's highly active seismically and with volcanoes as well. The two recent earthquakes from USGS is this 5.4 at Álftanes. This came in at 7:15 this morning Pacific time, and then a 4.5 next to it that came in at 5:34 this morning. Now, USGS only reports on larger magnitude earthquakes if they're international. So when you see this where it says 34,000, these are including small, ones and under. And then Melissa and Pfeffer, an atmospheric volcanologist at the Icelandic Meteorological Office, said the magma is 1 or 2 kilometers below the surface and an eruption could happen at any time. So that's quite shallow, So magma is rising worldwide is what we're seeing. And she says the magma intrusion was about 7 kilometers long and up to 2 kilometers deep, but only 1 meter wide. they're worried that the quake swarms are occurring near Reykjavik and the country's main airport because the critical infrastructure such as power plants are also nearby. The latest swarm of earthquakes has annoyed the heck out of residents who are constantly woken up in the middle of the night. And Grindavik is the worst affected by the quakes. The last major incident was the I'm going to try and say this, Eyjafjallajökull. I know I butchered that. I listened to a couple of videos on how to pronounce it, but I can't say it fast. Anyway, this volcano was erupted in 2010, caused a massive shutdown of the world's airline industry as ash plumes circulated into the atmosphere. If an eruption is seen, this could be disastrous for the industry as it attempts to recover from the pandemic downturn. So, we're on a dynamic planet and everything is moving and shaking and quaking, and we expect to see more and more earthquakes, especially in the Arctic region, as we have changes in the pressure on the plates and the weight on the plates from melting glaciers, and you got sea ice melting and glaciers melting, and Greenland is losing lots of water all the time. And the sun is up now for all of the land mass in the Arctic, and pretty soon the melt will be on. It's not quite yet, but it will be soon. So I just wanted to lead off with that story for any of my viewers in Iceland. Welcome. So I'm going to start off with our methane data from NOAA. This is for the 477/469 millibar reading for yesterday the 13th. This is the METOP-1 satellite in the morning. The mean or average was 1901 parts per billion. The high reading was 2488. These white areas are missing data, along with the gray areas. It's missing data as well. And where you see the pink, that's the highest zone, the highest reading, and that's between 2000 and whatever this top number is on the range, parts per billion. And we've got pinks coming all the way down into India now, and we've got a few pinks popping up, just a hint of pink popping up over the Antarctic here. On the afternoon reading, the mean was 1898 and the high reading was 2448. On the METOP-2 satellite in the morning, the mean was 1878, the high reading was 2359. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1876, and the high reading was 2405. Now, I've been tracking this data since March of 2019. This is where I started out. And we can see it was under 1860 at that point, on March the 1st. I think it was 1857. We can look back. 1857.25 on March the 1st of 2019. And now on the 13th, it's 1888.05. 0.25. So that's how much we've gone up since March the 1st, and it's about the same time of year. Now in the last week we've gone down 1.5 parts per billion. Now we had gone up 4 weeks in a row here, starting the week of February 19th. Well, and we went up the week of February 6th, we went up 5.5. And then we went up 4 weeks in a row, the 19th, 27th, and the 6th. And these were pretty good increases at 4 and 4.5. But this week we went down slightly, 1.5 parts per billion. So we're just under 1890. See the line briefly going down here. Now we're 8.75 parts per billion higher than this time last year. I started tracking this data on a daily basis in February of last year, so now I have I can say on a such and such date after February, mid-February, let's say, I know exactly what the change is in a year from 1 year from that date. So that's what we've got right now. The change since March the 1st of 2019 has been an increase of 31 parts per billion. So in 2 years, basically, 2 years and a couple of weeks, we've gone up 31 parts per billion. And we are still at 1888.25. If we look back to last year, when it was going up in the summer, we were at 1887.75 at the end of July, and 1891.75 on August the 1st. So we're it was in the middle of it rising there. It typically starts really going on the rise in really about June for here, about June, for until sometime in October. We reached our high this last year on October 23rd of 1904.25. We peaked out twice at 1904.25 on September 25th and then on October 23rd again. So that's these twin peaks here in the graph. And then we went down and we bottomed out this season in the winter time on January the 12th at 1873.5, right down here. So we're just so high, and it's not going to go back to, you know, anything considered normal. We're exponential now. We're exponential, and we're really in no man's land. This is the highest it's been at this time of year since they started really tracking it. So, cause here's March last year. Here we are this year. Let's see. Wait, March was about here. Here's April there. So, you'll see as we go along. Here's the daily data, and I do daily reports for my Subscribe Star members, if you'd like to join us over there, we'd love to have you. The link is in the description box below. And I do daily updates. Sometimes they're equivalent to what I do on my Sunday show, but I'm showing stuff, in the middle of the week. Usually it's an abbreviated version. But I always at least show methane from CAMS, and then I show what the readings are on NOAA for that day, or the day before and that day. So let's see what it did this week. So here we were in our report last Sunday, so that was for the 6th, and we were 1889.75. On Monday it went up 0.5. I mean Sunday, they're a day behind. NOAA is a day behind on reporting. So Sunday was up 0.5. Monday was up another 0.5. Tuesday up 2.25. So at that point we had an increase for the week of 3.25. And then on the 10th it went down 1.5. On the 11th it went down 2.25. On the 12th it went down 0.5. And on the 13th it went down 0.5. To give us an overall decrease this week of 1.5 and an increase over last year of 8.75. And last year, I'll show you, it's up here, March the 13th, it was 1879.5. And I don't know of anyone else tracking the data like this, so you'll just, if you like this information, come back. And I'll do these weekly updates as long as I can. As long as everything holds up and my health holds up, and I can keep doing it. Now we'll look at the CAMS data. I have Saturday the 13th ready. This is Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Service. I have the Arctic view and surface level ready to go. There's our color ledger. So here's Greenland, there's Canada, Alaska, this is Russia over here, all this is Russia, and then here's the Scandinavian countries, Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Here's Novaya Zemlya, this is Iceland right down here, here is Svalbard, this is Franz Josef Land. This is Severnaya Zemlya, this group of islands. This little island on the tippy point is called Komsomolets. We've been seeing this extreme release of methane, high readings of methane just billowing up since January of last year, and no one's reporting on that. They're studying the Laptev Sea and the East Siberian Arctic Shelf and everywhere else but this area. And, the scientists give out all these dire warnings of these other areas, and we're seeing just minor releases compared to, in these other areas, compared to what we're seeing at Komsomolets. But, no one's saying anything. For whatever reason. I'd love to see a report on that. I'd love to see someone go out and, just send a drone over it and get some air samples and test it. Why can't they do that? It's probably so high that it would flip everybody out. They can't report on it. So we've got a little bit lower readings. We're seeing more greens as a background color today rather than the yellows and oranges. But we are seeing still lots of green. Here's the global view. I wasn't ready for global. Why did I go there? Well, we'll go ahead and look at global. I meant to go to the North Pole view. I got upset thinking about Combs Island. It does upset me to see it day in, day out, just billowing up like that. And no one's saying a word. No one. They're going over to the Laptev Sea. Whatever. We're still seeing the white area in China. This is near Beijing. And if you didn't see Robin's video yesterday, Sunday Musings, go ahead and watch it. Thank you, Robin, for covering some of the things in my report last week. And you talked about China and how China doesn't have any regulations. And, they say one thing and do another as far as emissions. And we can see that it's the highest polluter and the highest emitter on the planet. And right next to, well, you can just look at methane here. China and India, well, they're the most populated, most densely populated, and China doesn't have to have emission standards, and they're still using coal plants for making electricity. It's also the Bitcoin mining capital of the world because of the cheap electricity. Beijing is the Bitcoin mining capital of the world. So I'm suspecting that's why they're keeping hands off of the regulations for that, so that they can keep up all that cheap electricity for the miners. Because it requires so much electricity to crank out those digital coins. Anyway, it's incredible. It's incredible. Nothing green about crypto. Let's go. We'll look at 500 HPA here. So we got a high reading here over the Pacific that came off of China and streamed out. Then we got reds covering the Arctic. Here's total column. And again, China is the winner with the highest number. Highest readings. Then we've got India, then we've got Southern Asia, and then we've got these South Pacific islands from the Philippines down into Indonesia. They've got some reds. We've got a little bit of red down here in Chile. Looks like Chile. and it's not as bad as it was over South America. It had been really a lot of red spreading out there. Now let's go back and we'll do North Pole view. And remember, oh okay, here's my color ledger. I didn't refresh, therefore when I changed those levels, so it stayed at surface level for the color ledger. So here's India, and we've got high readings coming up out of the Bengal Bay again this week, and now we'd had some really high readings the last couple of months, and then it went away here last week here in the Bengal Bay. Now it's coming back. Someone left a comment last week saying maybe the high readings out of the Bengal Bay had to do with the monsoon season. Well, could be, but monsoon season isn't until June and July, so I don't think that's the reason for the high readings, you know, in the middle of winter. They're coming up out of the ocean. And we're seeing more waves coming out of China here now. We can see Europe has gone down this week, and now in the forecast period we see the UK and Ireland popping back up. Here in North America, we've got, look at these high readings on the East Coast, and just depends on where they've had rain and snow, and after they've had precipitation and everything gets real saturated, then they get high methane readings, and also with higher temperatures when the temperatures come back up after a cold spell. That's what we're seeing here in eastern United States, and we constantly see high readings in California, and some of the methane is related, well, a lot of it is related to the oil wells and refineries, and you know, where they're drilling, things like that. But a lot of it is also related to just population centers, and where it's more densely populated, where there are people, you will have higher methane because of the different sources, and also agricultural areas with livestock. You'll have higher methane as well. Growing rice, that creates methane. Wetlands, high methane. Just a lot of population. So anyway, there's that. Now, before we get into sea ice, I've just got a couple of more pictures to show here. This is sulfur dioxide worldwide today. You're seeing higher readings just dotted around, and there was a high reading over the Bering Strait yesterday, and it's kind of moved up into northern Alaska. You're going to see that. That's still zipped up at 500 HPA. Also here by the west side of South America, I'm thinking this is from plate movement, and there seems to be a large pocket or large pockets of sulfur dioxide in this area, and whenever there's plate movement we see lots of sulfur dioxide coming up. There are also volcanoes going off here in South America and earthquakes as well. Not sure about this high reading over the Middle East here. It could be from Etna, then it's blown over, and then we've got high readings over China and then coming out over the Pacific. Here it is at 500 HPA, so the densest is over here in the Middle East area. That's the densest. And then see, here you go, South America, and here's this area up in Alaska and over the Arctic, Bering Strait. This is carbon dioxide as of yesterday. This is the global view from CAMS, and you can see these darkest regions here. That's, and see over Africa. This is from the fires here over Africa, and the northern hemisphere is much darker than the southern hemisphere. We used to see some blue-greens in the southern hemisphere, especially over the Antarctic, but not anymore. So in spite of the lockdowns and supposed emissions going down, carbon dioxide levels are still going up. And methane is still going up. It's all baked in the cake. And we've talked about this, the climate scientists have talked about this, that whatever is, like with carbon dioxide, something that's emitted in the atmosphere, it might take 10 years for it to really, for you to really see it all. But carbon dioxide hangs around for hundreds of years. I mean, it just stays. It doesn't go away. And then methane breaks down into carbon dioxide. So there's that. Okay, next we'll move on to sea ice. This is from Climate Reanalyzer. I'll give you a little slideshow here. Here's the sea ice and snow cover for today. Here's our Arctic. Here's Svalbard. Here's Greenland. This is the Baffin Bay. And this sea surface temperature is just too warm for any amount of sea ice to be growing back much more. I don't think we're going to get much more extent. It's just a tiny bit is coming back here in the Pacific Ocean and here in the Okhotsk Sea by Russia. And we've seen you'll see, I'll just click through here. Now you'll see white change, the snow cover on the land mass. You'll see that with the snow as well, because this is not just sea ice but snow as well. So here we were last Sunday, so I'll just click through and you can see the change. And you're not going to see that much change. You see dramatic change in the summertime where it's melting so quickly, and it's really dramatic to see it go through day by day in the summertime, but until it starts really melting, you won't see that much change. So here we go. Here was last Sunday. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and today. So we had a tiny bit of growth come back along this Canadian side of the Baffin Bay and just a tiny bit of regrowth. It looks like here in the Barents Sea, and thickening, whatever thickening, but you'll see when we go to that, and that's next. Here's the Navy website, U.S. Navy sea ice thickness for the Arctic view. So here's Greenland, here's North America down here, Russia is up here. So I've divided up this ice into quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is the sea ice thickness for today. And the sun is coming up. This all of the landmass in the Arctic is in the sun now. Greenland just now all popped into the sun, but you know, so it's inside this 80 degree, well, it's well inside 80 that's in the sunlight now, 80 north latitude. We've got a hole here on this west side of Greenland, just at the end of the nearest strait. That is visible on NASA World View. We've got quite thin ice here on the other side, in the northeast side of Greenland. Here's Svalbard, and here's Franz Josef Land, here's Severnae Zemlya, here's Novaya Zemlya, and you see the little lavender, that's quite thin, that's just a fringe of ice. The dark purple is about 1 meter thick, the dark blue is about 1.25 meters thick. Then moving into aqua, like the bright aqua is about 2 meters thick. So this is what we've got. This down here in this Beaufort Sea is what's left of the thickest sea ice that has moved down from last year, and it's compressed down here, and it's all right down here. This sea ice that's now to the east of that thickest part, this is all just first year freeze pretty much. So all of this was open a lot of last summer, so all of this is first year ice. Most of this is first year ice. So that means that it's not real thick and not real, it's got a lot of leads in it, a lot of holes in it, and it'll melt faster than the multi-year ice. This is the 30-day animation. It goes back 3 weeks, and this animation goes out 6 days from now to the 20th. So we're seeing ice begin to flow out of the nearest strait here. You can see it moving. It's beginning to exit. That's one of the exit points for ice. Also, another exit point is this Fram Strait. Okay, so here it is at the end of the forecast period. So let's go back. So here it is today. I think, yeah, 14th. So I'm going to click through and you'll see changes that we might be able to see. Mainly it's going to be thickening and just tiny bit of regrowth. There it is at the end. So not much change. It's just kind of holding. We've got some thicker ice on the Siberia coastline. We can see it's going up into the reds, yellows and reds there. Got a little bit of green down here in the Beaufort Sea. That's about 3 meters thick. And then these tributaries, they're into the aqua and dark aqua color. So getting up to about 2 meters thick there. This is the Beaufort Sea. This is all from the Navy website. This is sea ice thickness for today. This is Canada. Here's Alaska down here. So this is what's left of the thickest sea ice right in here from last year. And it has been sliding down. And this is where it is. It's been compressing here now. But it's because of the ice drift, it's been pulled away from this coastline in Canada and Alaska last week or so. And so here's the 30-day animation. You can see it jump when it pulls away. See? That's the ice drift, just pulls the whole thing out. This is the ice drift for today. These blue colors, the dark blue, so on, it's quite calm, but here's the clockwise direction here that the ice is moving. And then you can see it's moving really fast here with the dark red. It's up to 30 centimeters per second movement here. And you can see the direction it's moving up towards the North Pole. So it's pulling it away from that Alaska coastline. Here's the 30-day animation on the ice drift. So here it is a week from now. So let's go back a few days and we'll see. Here we were last week. It had been moving some. So it's still moving here on the 8th. This is the data now. Look at all that movement on the 9th. See, it's just yanking it out away from Alaska. Here's the 10th, a little bit slower. Here's 11th, it's slowing down. Here's the 12th, and see it pick back up right down here by the Alaska coastline. Here's the 13th, yesterday. See how fast it's coming up from Bering Strait. look how fast it is now. Here's the 14th. And this is where we saw that sulfur dioxide too. So I don't know if it's related. When we look at Climate Reanalyzer, you're going to see some red colors up here, meaning it's much warmer than normal. So we got warm air coming in too, along with high movement on the ice drift. So here we are today. Here it is tomorrow. So it's still a lot of movement. 16th, a lot of movement. Now it's calming down on the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st. So it's calm after that. Here's the Baffin Bay. Here's Greenland on this right side. Here's Canada. This is open water where you see it white. And then this is the sea ice thickness along the coastline here of Canada. And the flow is generally down. So this is about halfway up in the Baffin Bay. Here's the 30-day animation. You see the ice moving down. See, flowing down here. Here's the sea surface temperature here in the Baffin Bay. It has to be about -2 Celsius for it to freeze. So not until this color here will it be freezing. Now we'll hop down to the Antarctic. This is sea ice thickness for today. So this is north, south, east, and west. This is the Western Peninsula. Here's South America here. The Ross Sea is right down here, and Ross Ice Shelf is here. The Weddell Sea is right here, and we're seeing refreeze already happening. We saw this last week, so you're seeing it's starting to really fill in. It's still thin here in the Ross Sea and around this southwestern edge. It's really starting to refreeze there. We're also getting some refreeze here in the Weddell Sea as well, and around the coastlines. A little fringe is coming back. Here's the 30-day animation. So the forecast goes out to 6 days from now. And the sun is going down. When we look at NASA Worldview, we've got a black spot here in the center over the South Pole where it's dark there now. There's that. That's all of those. Now we'll move on to sea ice and National Snow and Ice Data Center. This is Sea Ice Index. This is the Arctic Daily. I have the blue marble view chosen, and concentration, and the blue, wherever the blues are, it's less concentrated, meaning it's thinner. There's space in between the ice. It's just not as compact and put together. So this correlates with what we're seeing on the Navy website as well. Here's the chart for sea ice extent. We figured out how we can zoom in on this. So here's the blue line for this year. Now remember where it went off the rails, where they didn't have any data for a few days. Well, I guess they corrected it. Anyway, we're still way below 2012. This dotted line is 2012, and until this year, 2012 had been the lowest for sea ice extent. That had been kind of the benchmark that we had been watching, and we've been below that since around October, or just tying it barely, and then now we're below. And here's the refreeze, and it's kind of leveled off. I don't think we're going to get much more extent. Like I said, I think we're going to start seeing it going down. So there's that. Let's see. Where am I? Going back here. Now we'll go to the Antarctic daily concentration, and you can see the ice. This is the refreeze here on the southern end and around the Weddell Sea and around the coastlines. We'll view this. This is the sea ice extent for the Antarctic, and this blue line is this year. This dark gray line is last year. We were low at the lowest ever this time last year, but our refreeze started early this year. You can see the blue line is jumping up. So there's that. Now we'll go through Climate Reanalyzer. Here are the maximum temperatures for today. Now see, we've got cold air over the North Pole coming down to Greenland, but see, this warmer air is coming up through the Bering Strait and up into the Arctic there. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly for today. See, this is red. It's like an arrow coming in. So that's about 18 C higher than normal. There. And then we've got colder than normal here, just north of Greenland, coming up over to Russia. And see, then we've got these blues in Canada also coming down over Russia, and then browns right next to it. Then a lot of reds over here in China and southern Russia. This is Russia here. So the jet stream is just out of whack, and it's not holding this cold air in, and this is why you're seeing all of the anomalies that you're seeing like this. We got reds over the Antarctic here on the northern end. That's warmer than normal. So today we're up 0.3 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.7 C. The Arctic is at minus 0.4 C lower than normal. The Antarctic is minus 0.1 C lower than normal. Southern Hemisphere is 0.2 C lower than normal, and the tropics are 0.3 C higher than normal. So it's pretty much weather chaos. Here's precipitation and clouds for today. So we've got snow coming in. The blue is snow up here. Now here's that major storm coming across the U.S. from Utah and Colorado, coming all the way across Wyoming, Colorado, all the way across. It's just, so it's another major winter storm. There's that. Here's the jet lumps. I don't call it the jet stream anymore. Clumps. I think I'm going to call it jet clumps. See how wavy and broken up it is? That's what's allowing the cold air from the Arctic to slip down. And see, Southern Hemisphere is not any better. We saw sea ice and snow cover. Here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This is as of yesterday, the 13th. We've got browns up here by Svalbard, and it's going into the red zone, and up here in the Barents Sea. We've got some blues coming up now, though, meaning a little bit cooler than normal. And we've got browns here around Greenland. And we've got reds and browns here in the North Atlantic, right next to some purples and blues. So it's all mixed up. And then we've got browns here in the Gulf of Mexico. Then you've got reds and browns off the coast of China and around Japan. And then see, we've got reds and browns over here in the Pacific. This blob down in the South Pacific did not develop like it did last year. Last year it was red and it was awful. It just stayed kind of brown this year. So right now we're up 0.4 C higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere, North Atlantic, and North Pacific are all at 0.4 C higher than normal. The Southern Hemisphere is up 0.3 C, and the Equatorial Pacific is up 0.1 C. Now we'll move on over to NASA Worldview. I'll refresh, get the latest here. Now this black area is where it's still dark. This is the Arctic. Here's Greenland, Canada. Here's Russia up here. Now, it's a satellite view. If we turn on this sea ice concentration layer, this is also correlating to what we saw on the Snow and Ice Data Center and also on the Navy website. See, it's not very it's kind of coming apart here, and just beyond the North Pole. See, that's not where you see the reds, and then where it goes into, like over here, by Greenland. This is melting. All of this is melting. And I mean, we'll see on the satellite view, you'll be able to see the open water. And you'll either see colors when it's refreezing or when it's melting. So just depending on whether you're seeing growth or retreat, then you know. What it's doing. Now, one thing is we're seeing now that the sun is coming up, see it's up over this whole area, we're starting to see more pinks. It's not as white, it's not as concentrated. Now we want solid white, but we're really not seeing that. We're starting to see more dark pinks here, especially in this Beaufort Sea. And see, a hole is opening up here by Wrangell Island. You can see that. We're also seeing more pinks just overall, and you can, it's the leads are starting to show up. See the darker lines of the pinks? Those are the cracks in the ice. Those are the leads, and they're starting to break apart. So you see it's starting to come apart here north of Greenland. Here's Franz Josef Land. So let's turn this layer off now. See what we can see. I'm going to start down here at the end of this nearest strait next to Greenland. This is where it had opened up. And see, you can see the open water here. This is melting. This is the nearest strait. So this is where we saw the ice flowing out on the Navy website. Here it's opened up too. There's the ice. There's Greenland. This is Canada on the left. See? Now this is in the Baffin Bay, so this is the sea ice that we saw on the Navy website. So this is just inching back a little bit. Then here's a little bit of ice on the east side. Here's clouds. There's the ice edge. Now here's where it's just so broken up and thin on this east edge. And we can see right here, see, this just came into the sunlight yesterday, but you can see the ice already broken up here on this north coast. You can see it there, see? Those are the leads, or the cracks, the big cracks, they're called leads. And they're frozen, but they're not as thick as the thicker pieces of ice. But the leads will melt first, and a lot of times they'll melt kind of all at once, and it all breaks apart at once. And then you see the pieces of ice. So here's Svalbard. We're looking through clouds here. Here's Franz Josef Land. Now you can see the it's melted on this right side here. It's just very thin where it's come back a tiny bit. Here's Novaya Zemlya. Here's the north end. So you can see the ice here. Here's the Yamal Peninsula. Here's the Gulf of Ob. Now, here's Severnaya Zemlya, this group of islands. This is Komsolomitz here. This area is where we're seeing the methane spewing up on CAMS for over a year. Now look at this ice. Look how broken up that is. This will melt quickly. Look at that. Let's see. And this is the Laptev Sea here. Here's the Russia coastline. See, there's the edge. There's the ice is, that's how it formed. It's and it's breaking up. You can see that already. It's in the sunlight. Look. See, open water there. You can see that around that coastline. Look at this. Open water. Look at this. It's like a little lip up by the coastline. It's like a little ice shelf, and then the sea ice freezes up to there, and it's not as concentrated, obviously, and it breaks away. See? Look at that. Or this could be where they've run icebreakers. I mean, they do that in the wintertime even here. And it refroze. I don't know. Frankly, I just don't know. If anyone knows if this is from icebreakers, I mean, you know, if they have anything that tells us that, that would be interesting to see. Now see these leads? See, there's open water already. Now this is rare for us to see this much of the ice. Normally there are massive amounts of clouds covering it up, and so enjoy being able to see it now. This is Bennett Island. This is an area where they've measured super high methane plumes kind of constantly. Here's the New Siberian Islands. Now here's the Bering Strait. So this is where we're seeing that warmer air and the high sulfur dioxide. There was also an earthquake right up here today. It wasn't huge, but it was in Alaska. Now here we can see the sea ice. Here's where it pulled away from the coastline by Alaska from the ice drift. So this is part of that thicker sea ice where it's been compressed down. See, here it was pulled away here. See that open water there. Here's clouds. Now here's Ellesmere Island, right here. And we're back where we started from. Now, we'll go down to the Antarctic. Now see the circle here in the center? This is where it's going dark, because the sun's going down. And let's see. Now last week, was it last week or week before last? This iceberg had broken off, A74. It was the end of February. Here it is. Now we've got some cloud cover, but you can see this iceberg it's pulled away from this brunt ice shelf. You can see it's separated from it, and it's coming apart. These are ice pieces where it's coming apart. Let's just see if we can see it better on the nighttime layer. Oh, nighttime layer is not showing up right now. Okay, guess they don't have that. Let's see. No, they don't have it up today yet. They don't have it up at all right down here right now. That's okay. But we can see that it's pulling off. So that was the last big thing to break off. Here's the Weddell Sea. See, here it's next to the ice shelf. Here's the Western Peninsula. They've had a lot of stormy weather here recently. They've had some rain too. We've got some refreeze going on here. See that? This is the tippy point of the Western Peninsula. We've had earthquakes down here the last 24 hours. I think we had 3 or 4. We'll look and see. And I've been tracking the A68 iceberg. Let's see if I can see anything. So many clouds. It's almost all decimated by now. Let's see. I'm gonna go back a day or two, get oriented. Have to find South Georgia Island first. See, they've had such strange weather. Here it is. Here's the island. Right down there. So here was what was left of A68. and it's breaking up. See all that? It's really coming apart. That was on the 9th. So let's just click through. It's the 10th, 11th, 12th. Now here's a piece there. 13th, and today. I can't really tell. If there are any pieces left, it's breaking up pretty fast. And down here is Pine Island Glacier. It's cloud covered today. We've got the refreeze going on here, I think. On the 11th was a pretty good view. Now this had all melted up to here last year, then it refroze and it didn't melt this year for whatever reason. But you can see the flow. I think this is the flow of the glacier, the ice flowing down. Then we've got clouds. Here's the Thwaites Glacier. See. Hard to see, and it's a funny color because the sun is at a low angle. Here we are on the 12th. Here's the 11th. See? There it is. Now this is where the ice tongue had broken off, and it's breaking up, but it's just taking a long time, and so all of this will be refrozen, caught up in the refreeze. Now here's some refreeze. See all of this? And then we've got a cloud. Here's the Ross Sea, and here's the refreeze. You can see it. There's the ice underneath there. Here's the Ross Shelf. Here's the Totten Glacier. That's a cloud there over that, and you can see refreeze happening here. See, right down there. Here's the Amory ice sheet. So we've got a big cloud here today. So here it was on the 12th. It's about the best view we've got. You can see the flow of the ice down here. And we're getting some refreeze coming in here. And here it is today. And here's the north end. We've got refreeze. See that? And we're back to where we started from. So that was my report for today. Oh, we've got earthquakes. I'll start with my earthquake pictures I took this morning. or it was early afternoon. There were 246 worldwide. Now, see, we've got all these big dots. These are 5s, and some 6s have come in today too. And this is plate movement. It's definitely plate movement. Starting in the lower 48, there are 135 here today. 26 in Southern California. We've got 17 in Searles Valley Ridgecrest, with the 2.3 being the largest one. From Tonopah over to Mammoth Lakes in western Nevada, we've got 20. You can see the movement spreading out here. This is Northern California. We've got 13 here today, and notice the ones lined up here at the base of this Juan de Fuca plate, and I call it the fulcrum point, where the San Andreas Fault comes in. Now up here is the Cascadia subduction zone. So we're seeing movement here and then across Northern California. So I break it down here. We've got 3 in this picture, 1.8, 1.8, and 1.2, and these are near Willits and Covelo. And we've got 6 in this picture, and the largest one is this 2.7 just north of Shasta Lake, which is a reservoir. And this is a 1.6 at Viola. And then we've got 4 down here in Mineral, California, 1.0, 0.9, 1.1, and 0.6. Then we've got 4 here near Petrolia, and as at the base of this Juan de Fuca plate, like I showed, 2.6, 2.7, 2.3, and 2.2. So that's a lot of movement there. Here we have the Pacific Northwest over to Yellowstone. We've got 18. Now we've only got 2 in Washington. The rest are in Idaho and all the Yellowstone region. Here near Stanley, Idaho, we've got 9. The largest one is a 3.1 at Smith's Ferry. And we have a cluster here at Hebgen Lake. This is west of Yellowstone. This is in Idaho. We've got, well, these are 1s, 1, 2, 3, 7, yeah. The largest was a 1.4. We've got a 2.6 in West Texas. We've got 8 in Oklahoma, the largest one being a 3.1 at Dibble, Oklahoma, at a depth of 0.7 kilometers. We've got 4, we've got 4 here in Oklahoma, Kansas, sorry. 3.5 is the largest at Eastboro, Kansas. We've got a 2.5 at Brainerd, Tennessee. And this one is in Canada, a 2.7 near Winchester. Here's Iceland, the 5.4 and 4.5, right next to the red line. Now this is South Atlantic. We've got 3 here. The largest is the 6.0 in the South Sandwich Islands region. And right next to it's a 5.4. And then down here, just next to this tippy point of the Western Peninsula in the Antarctic, is a 4.6 South Shetland Islands. We've got 11 in Puerto Rico. We've got 2 in this picture, a 4.8 at Puerto Barrio, Colombia, and a 4.3, in Mexico, at Nueva Independencia, and 3 in this picture. We've got a 4.8 at the West Chile Rise down here in the ocean, and then 2 up here in Peru, 4.6 and a 4.2. Hawaii showing 28 today. Here's Alaska, 47. Now here's this one I was telling you about on this upper west coast. We'll look at that in a minute. New Zealand had a 4.0 on the South Island near Tainau. The Kermadec Islands region, they had 6 off. In the Fives region, the largest was a 5.9. This is where they had that 8.1. We've got 4 in this picture, 5.2 and 5.0 in Vanuatu, 4.7 Kainantu, Papua New Guinea, and a 4.5 Sarangani, Philippines. And we've got 2 at Japan, 4.5 near Honmachi, and a 4.7 at Kainan. We've got 3 in this picture, 5.1 Minab, Iran, 4.8 Zhejiang, China, and a 4.1 in Greece. That's all of those. Now here's the USGS website. We can see more activity coming in here at the South Pacific. Another 5.2, Fiji Islands, 544 kilometers deep. So we've got 237 worldwide. So you can see the Earth is shaking and quaking. Let's see. What else? I've shown most of those. So we're just waiting and watching. And I do believe we are in the end times and the time is short. Oh, here's this one in Alaska I was going to show. 3.1 near NOAA. Came in at 9:41 this morning. I'm going to finish up the show by continuing to read out of the Bible. Now, last week, during the week, I finished up Luke and started on Acts. And the book of Acts is written by Luke, and it's the story of the lives of the disciples after Jesus was resurrected. Yesterday we read about the Pentecost and the Holy Ghost that descended upon all of them, or it filled them up, and then they were given the power and went out and taught the gospel and did healings and went all over the place. So this book is about what happened after after Jesus' resurrection. Acts chapter 3. Now Peter and John went up together into the temple at the hour of prayer, being the 9th hour. And a certain man, lame from his mother's womb, was carried, whom they laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple. Who, seeing Peter and John about to go into the temple, asked an alms. And Peter, fastening his eyes upon him with John, said, Look on us. And he gave heed unto them, expecting to receive something of them. Then Peter said, Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have give I thee. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk. And he took him by the right hand and lifted him up, and immediately his feet and ankle bones received strength. And he, leaping up, stood and walked, and entered with them into the temple, walking and leaping and praising God. And all the people saw him walking and praising God, and they knew that it was he which sat for alms at the beautiful gate of the temple. And they were filled with wonder and amazement at that which had happened unto him. And as the lame man which was healed held Peter and John, all the people ran together unto them in the porch that is called Solomon's, greatly wondering. And when Peter saw it, he answered unto the people, Ye men of Israel, why marvel ye at this? Or why look ye so earnestly on us, as though by our own power or holiness we had made this man to walk? The God of Abraham, and of Isaac, and of Jacob, the God of our fathers, hath glorified his Son Jesus, whom ye delivered up, and denied him in the presence of Pilate, whom he was determined to let him go. But ye denied the Holy One and the Just, and desired a murderer to be granted unto you, and killed the Prince of Life, whom God hath raised from the dead, whereof we are witnesses. And his name, through faith in his name, hath made this man strong, whom ye see and know. Yea, the faith which is by him hath given him this perfect soundness in the presence of you all. And now, brethren, I wot that through ignorance ye did it, as did also your rulers. But those things which God before had shewed by the mouth of all his prophets, that Christ should suffer, he hath so fulfilled. Repent ye therefore, and be converted, that your sins may be blotted out, when the times of refreshing shall come from the presence of the Lord, and he shall send Jesus Christ, which before was preached unto you, whom the heaven must receive until the times of restitution of all things, which God hath spoken by the mouth of all his holy prophets since the world began. For Moses truly said unto the fathers, A prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me. Him shall ye hear in all things whatsoever he shall say unto you. And it shall come to pass that every soul which will not hear that prophet shall be destroyed from among the people. Yea, and all the prophets from Samuel, and those that follow after, as many as have spoken, have likewise foretold of these days. Ye are the children of the prophets, and of the covenant which God made with our fathers, saying unto Abraham, And in thy seed shall all the kindreds of the earth be blessed. Unto you first God, having raised up his Son Jesus, sent him to bless you, in turning away every one of you from his iniquities. Acts chapter 3. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . And Jesus said that these things and greater works that we will be doing, those of us who believe in Him and follow Him, and then are anointed by the Holy Spirit, and that the power will come upon us in these end times. And I believe it, and Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and the only way to my Father's kingdom, to heaven, is through me. And there's really no other way. You might think there are other ways, but He is the one. And we're seeing the darkness descend upon the planet now, and the ones that are ruling the planet, they're run by Satan, and they hate Jesus. They hate His name. They hate the thought of Him. They hate anyone trying to talk about Him and talk about the promise of being saved and going to heaven, and not being trapped by Satan. They hate all of that, and persecution is happening, and it will come. But if you want a better life, if you want to be free of this sinful world, you want to be free and ready to go home when it's time, you need to give your life to Jesus now, and repent, and start walking the straight and narrow. And don't just give it lip service. You need to actually repent and change your ways and start living a holy life. And if you died tonight, would you be ready? Would you be ready to face your judgment? Would you be ready? So, I love you all, and I'm praying for everyone, especially the ones who are lost, or the ones who are on the fence. And, the ones who are believers and who are saved, I'm praying for your strength, that you have the strength that you're lifted up, and you have the strength to persevere and to maintain and to occupy until it's time to go home. So, until next time, I hope everyone has a good week. I love you all, and I'm praying for you. God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.